G'day guys, it's Glenn here from Precision Wealth Management. I wanted to do a video today on a news article I saw a couple of weeks ago, and it was about a grandmother who set to pocket $10 million from the sale of a block of land that her and her husband had purchased. Now this article talked about how they had paid a pittance for this block of land and now she's set to pocket $10 million. So I want to talk to you about that and say how you can also implement a plan so you too can be like this grandmother and pocket $10 million. Now the first thing was, the news article talked about how it was purchased 5 decades ago. Now they didn't say exactly when, but we'll assume, we'll just go a nice round figure of it being 50 years. Could be a little bit more, a little bit less, we don't know exactly. It also says they purchased the block of land for $38,000. That's the pittance they're talking about. Now the very first thing we can do is calculate going, okay, well, $38,000 is what they purchased for, they had it for 50 years, now it's worth $10 million. What does that work out to be? Well, I did the calculation and it worked out to an annual rate of return of 11.79%. That's growth only. It was a vacant block of land, it didn't have any income. I'm sure there was some expenses along the way. I guess they had to pay rates or something, or who knows. But they had a rate of return on that asset of 11.79%. Now that's pretty good considering that is just growth. But if you look at any other asset classes available to you now, say shares or a property that has income as well as growth, a rate of return of that isn't excessive. Now the big thing I want to talk about is $38,000 50 years ago was not a pittance. I jumped on the RBA website and they said from the period of 1969 to 2018, the inflation rate over that period was 5.2%. Because remember a while ago we had fairly high inflation, high interest rates. So if we say take that 38,000, 5.2% per annum, that's the equivalent of today's dollars of $479,000. So how do you make your $10 million? Well, simply invest $479,000. A lot of people don't have that sort of money lying around, but maybe you might be able to borrow it, use equity in your home or something along those lines. Then you have to go without income of this asset. So if you borrowed that money, you have to fund that borrowing without the income. Because remember, this grandmother had this block of land and it didn't produce any income. They were able to fund that without needing to get income back off the asset. And the third, most crucial, I'm not even sure if I'm up to 3, but the most crucial thing about this is you've got to leave it alone for 50 years. That's where a lot of people fall down. So I'm 34. I might be able, if I implement this here now, I can cash in my 10 million when I'm 84. That's fairly old. A lot of people don't have this sort of time horizon. So these news articles are very emotive and they make people think, well, if I do this, if I buy land, if I buy a house, maybe I can become really, really rich. But the fact of the matter is, these people were already pretty wealthy. To have $38,000 50 years ago where you didn't need to have any income from it, and they held on to it for 50 years, they were just wealthy people getting wealthier. That doesn't mean to say that you can't employ a strategy that's maybe a fraction of this. Maybe instead of 50 years, it's 30 years. Maybe instead of 479,000, it might be 300,000, 200,000. But you need to understand that whenever you reduce your time horizon and how much you're investing, your end goal is going to be a lot less as well. But anyway, just thought I'd really point this out. I found the news article and the language used to be very interesting and misleading. I will put the link to the news article just for your reference in the comments below.